Hi everybody. So in the previous video we did a logger and this is the output of the logger. So looks pretty decent. And I was promising at the end of the video that I was going to be upgrading the save system and basically making it work. But I've been noticing that the videos have been running a little bit longer than I would like. I kind of want them to be preferably like sub 20 minutes if possible. Can be a little bit more difficult than I was originally thinking to get it under 20. But if I did what I'm planning to do plus the upgraded save system, I think it would have been like 40 minutes. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to break it into two parts. And in this first part, what we're going to be doing is making like a application state. We're going to do it different than we actually did the logger, because in the logger we kind of did this like this kind of namespace global approach, which is perfectly fine for a logger because it's one way where we're basically not expecting any writes. But common practice, at least, is for when you're using like globals, you kind of want it to be one way, not two ways where you have reads and writes to the data. So we're going to be doing a different way where we're actually going to be passing around an application state. In the meantime, in the process of doing that, we're actually going to be fixing some of the stuff that we had a problem with before, where we were like forward declaring structs in our state machine. So if you recall, like our level progression header profile had to declare this ahead of time. So just so I remember, I'm actually just going to get rid of it. And this is going to cause some problems in terms of like if I tried to make it right now, right? And I do a make, we're going to have problems again. Totally fine. We're going to fix it by the end of this video. So the first thing to do is I'm going to actually make like an application state right here. So let's see, touch src, and we'll do like application state.header file, and then we'll also do a CPP. Okay, so in the application state header file, right, we're going to have a pragma once. We may not even need, yeah, no, we don't actually need a C++ file. I also did something wild where I did I forgot to do the src slash. I just touch src space. So anyways, let me fix that. Application C++ and the application header file, and we're going to put that into the src directory. So now we're in the correct directory, and I'll make it like a struct, and all it's going to be is application state, right? New line or semicolon. And for what we want inside of it, we want a bool running variable. We're going to default it to true. And then for the level progression, it was doing some stuff to the game state, so we could actually simplify it. So we have like a Sokoban game state, right? And it can be this. That's totally fine for right now. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that, so it's going to be by value. And then what else do I want? I'm going to be doing, I don't care about the selected index, I don't think. But we're going to definitely want like, I'm just going to actually just take it out completely. So we'll have like, let's look at what level progression was again. I'm just going to take both of these. So they're mine now. And I'm just going to put them there. And is there anything in the game header file that I care about? Taking that out. And this is just going to become a state, by the way. So we can remove these dependencies. Now if we go to level progression, header file, we can remove the game. And this is just going to become a state again. And now what we need to do is we actually need to create our application state. So we'll go into the main right here, and we'll put it in the state machine part, I guess. I don't love that. Let's do it like right here. And I'm actually gonna get rid of that. Log in it, and I'll have like initialize logger and state. And so we'll have application state equals 0. So it'll just be like defaults. Is there a problem? No, there isn't. Okay, cool. So this is just saying we want the defaults of the struct. I don't think we actually even need to do that in C++. I'd have to double check because I know in C it's like common practice, but well, actually I'm pretty sure I've seen the Cherno doing this, so I'm just going to do it the way he does it. He's better than me. So application state, and this is getting a blue line because we're not actually using it. Previous definitions is here back. Oh, so this is the problem. So let me rename this variable so that solves that right there. So we have this application state, and you can see we have these level progressions, which are a problem. So in this case, right, this is going to be now application state max level beaten is equal to ss get data. Easy enough. And then we do that application state. So and now instead of that, we do application state dot running. And then for the saving, we change this to application state dot max level beaten. And that all works. But there's a problem where basically if we go, for example, to like game C++, like there's these level progressions, there's all this stuff that's looking for things that just don't exist, like even the state doesn't exist. So the way we're going to fix that is by passing in the application state to the constructors for our states. So what we'll do is we'll go to our state header file right here. We'll call the state constructor, and we're actually going to add application state. We're going to take a reference to it this time. Application state, simple enough. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take in the constructor, the state. Actually, we can just name it state in this case. And then we can name it application state. Right, so there's our constructor for our virtual class, or virtual struct, I guess, whatever. If I try to make it now, there's a bunch of errors, right? Just so many errors. But what we can tell from this right here is basically it's saying that the state has a default constructor, but the game is not actually handling that constructor. And it's going to be the same thing for every single one. So if we go to like instructions, header file, there's going to be an issue here. The way we fix it is pretty simple. We take in an application state, and then what we do is we call state, and then that's all we have to do, I believe. If I'm wrong, we'll see in just a little bit. So let me close all these tabs real quick. I just did instructions, if I recall correctly. Let's do the level progression next. So there's going to be application state right there, and now we can close that. Then we can go into application, sorry, did I misspell? Yeah, I 100% misspelled that. Ay. Okay, cool. So did that mess up anything? That definitely did. Include application state, there we go. And then, yeah, so now I need to go into the state header file. Include application state, get rid of that. If I do that, can I just do it like this? Pretty sure that's fine. The level for this is fine. We don't need this. Then what we need is, yeah, so this is fine. Now we actually need to go into the definition. I guess that's not going to let me do it. So let's just do the level progression right here. It's going to be towards the top. Application state, and then we call the default constructor state. Looks good to me. Maybe it's not. Let's see. So we don't need either of those. Maybe we do. Oh, I shouldn't have had that. I don't need this, and I don't need this. So what's the problem? Maybe I'm going to have to actually do it here. state, state. It seems to be saying I just should do it in here, which is totally fine. I don't really mind if it makes it easier. Okay, so that seems to fix that. Now we'll go into the game header file. Now we need to add a game constructor, application state, 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 a lot of states, and then nothing else to do but close that. So I've done the menu, I've done that. Let's see. So lots of problems there. Main.c++ we can go fix now, which is going to be, let's see. So in here, we have our application state, looks good. Now what we need to do is we need to pass it our state. Application state. And what's the problem? I'm just going to fill this in for the rest real quick. And we'll just see what the problem is in a second. Right. So no matching constructor. I'm just going to call a make real quick. The implicit copying constructor, not conversion for application state star to const. So right. The problem is state dot header file really should just be a pointer. And then I need to fix all of those. So game header file, this should be a pointer. Instructions should again be pointer. Level progression, I have to do this right there. And then, did I get them? I don't think I got the menu. Oh, I didn't even do the menu. So this is just going to be menu, application state, 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 state. Lots of errors there, but I think if we go into main now, everything's looking good. So now we can actually go into fixing those errors. We pretty much know what they're going to be, right? There's going to be the things that are using like running and whatnot. Let me actually find all the externs real quick so I don't forget. So there we go. And now what I'll do is I'll just do application state dot running. No, it's not dot. It's running with arrows. Cool. Let's see what else. We have one more error right here. The exact same one. And by the way, since I'm thinking about it, like since we have this application state, all of a sudden we could make the logger a struct and we could make it part of our application state, and then we could get rid of the basically get rid of the whole global thing that we just did. Personally, I kind of like keeping this because if we end up doing another one, which I think we will, which will be breakout, all of a sudden we'll be able to just take this code and put it into the next project. Okay, so let's close some tabs real quick. Let's go to level progression C++, and you can see there's just a ton of little things. So application, what we can do is actually we can do like selected index, right? And I think I always forget what the command is for. So it's Command Shift H. Then we can replace it with application state selected index. And we can do this, and that does it all. We ended up with huge lines, so let's fix that because that's kind of gross to look at. That's fine. That's just too long, to be frank. It may be worth considering like changing this application state name, to be totally frank. So let's fix this, Command Shift. So I want this one, right? Command Shift H, and then instead of selected index, we're going to replace it with max level beaten. Then Command Enter does that one. Looks good. This one we'll just do ourselves. Application state, running. a little bit more, probably the same. Okay, so this one, now we're doing the application state. Application state, game state. So that's all that is. Now we'll do this for this. Game state. All right, so we'll do a make. The game isn't implemented yet, but is there anything else that we're missing? I don't think so. So let's go do game header file now. Or not the game header, just the implementation stuff. Okay, so we can start with this. Application state, game state, and then we can do, for this, we can do something like that, Command-Shift H, and then we can just replace level progression with this. All right, let's go up a little bit. So I'm just gonna bite the bullet here, state, and then it's gonna be game state. Oops. So boom, boom, there it is. What did I do wrong? Okay, cool. So this one got messed up. This one got messed up. There's definitely some there, that works now. This one, Sokoban free, game state, sure. Makes sense. We'll go down here, application state. Oh, and then we have to return, right? Game, let's see what, it's actually not game, it's the level progression. Makes total sense. In this one, it got a little crazy because I kind of already filled it in, but we can just redo it. Application state, game state. In this one, it's just we do this back, and then game state, selected index. We don't need that. So things kind of got pretty messy with this find and replace, unfortunately. This one, it's just this, application state. Sure. We just want the max level beaten here, so application state, max level beaten. Looks good to me. And then we want to do save data. We just want this back. Looks good to me. What else? And then we want to return level progression. New line, let's try and make and see what we get. All right, so everything seems to work. What we don't know is if it's actually going to work, which it didn't. This is one of those cases where our log is going to be pretty useful, where you can see it just went straight into an EOF. So let's figure out what's happening, because it doesn't look like there's any error being logged, right? So we can go to like main C++. We're in here, we made it to beginning game loop. If application state.running, it seems like it's going to be false if that's the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this and let's see what happens. And now we're working. So our log file already paid off. Okay, so we're going to go into the instructions, working, playing. We're going to play level. And theoretically, this should unlock a level. We unlock level 2. Looks good to me. I'm going to play a level. Let's do this, restart it. So all that's working. And so yeah, our application state is now working. Oh, oops, I accidentally changed it while in the middle of that. Okay, let me just double check to make sure everything's okay. So yeah, everything's okay. So in the next video, what we're going to get to is actually updating the state to get the number of moves, one, and the time it took. And we're going to be using the application state right here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to add int moves equals 0, just keep these, and we'll have a double time in seconds kind of variable. We'll probably actually use, in all honesty, a clock t start time like this. And basically what we're going to start doing is we're going to start updating this when the player starts playing the level, and then we'll get a clock again for when the player finishes and beats a level. And then we'll use these to actually start saving things. And we're also going to be doing more than just this, right? Because we're going to have multiple levels. And we're going to be keeping track of those. And then when we're done, i.e. when we want to save, we're going to be basically just putting these out into the save.txt file. But that's for the next video. For this one, we just did an application state and we updated our code to be able to use it across all of our states. And yeah, that's it for this video. We still went a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but I hope it was quick enough, enjoyable enough, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.